United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who is on a 4-day official visit to Nepal, is currently in Pokhara, from where he is scheduled to take the Annapurna Circuit trip from Pokhara tomorrow morning. The UN chief had a busy day today, holding an interaction with the residents of Solukhumbu and attending a program hosted by the UN House before flying to Pokhara. Good evening, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres interacts with local residents of Solukhumbu, commits of drawing global attention towards the impact of climate change in Nepal. Principal of a private school in Kalaya Bara, Rupesh Swarnakar, who was injured in a shooting by an unknown group, passes away during treatment. Police start investigation. Hundreds of patients stuck in hospital in the north of Gaza. Israel says Hamas is making Al-Quds Hospital in Gaza a place for asylum and warns to evacuate it immediately. And host Nepal thumped Singapore by 8 wickets in their first match of the T20 World Cup qualifiers. Kushal Bhurtel shines with the bat in Nepal's win. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has committed of drawing global attention towards the impact of climate change in Nepal. During an interaction with local residents of Kamjung Khumbu Pasang Lyamu Rural Municipality 4 in Solukhumbu this morning, UN Secretary General Guterres said that the Himalayan region is suffering from the effect of climate change caused by the pollution created by powerful nations. The UN chief said that he would inform the upcoming global conference on climate change in Dubai about the consequences of climate change in the Himalayan region by incorporating the suggestions provided by the local residents. Guterres stated that he would take the initiative on how to minimize the effects of climate change. During the meeting with UN Secretary General Guterres, the local community put forth their grievances that the melting of glaciers is continuously increasing, damages caused by climate change is growing, water resources are drying up, local agriculture has been affected, and avalanches occur due to rainfall on bare Himalayan mountains. They also requested to help in constructing a small hydropower project in the region as there is shortage of electricity in the villages. The local residents also raised the issue of cleaning the garbage in the Mount Everest region. In response, UN Chief Guterres said that everybody must get together to end the danger. After returning from Solukhumbu, Guterres attended a program hosted by the UN House in Lalitpur today. The UN chief is currently in Pokhara. He is scheduled to take the Annapurna Circuit trip from Pokhara tomorrow morning. After returning from the trip, he will hold a press conference at the old airport in Pokhara and then embark on his trip to Lumbini, the birthplace of Gautam Buddha. Secretary General Guterres will return to Kathmandu from Lumbini tomorrow and is scheduled to address the joint session of the Parliament tomorrow itself. The UN chief will hold a press conference at the Parliament premises after his address to the Parliament. Secretary General Guterres is scheduled to leave Nepal on Wednesday, ending his 4-day official visit to Nepal. The principal of Bara Kalaya's Bal Ekata boarding school, Rupesh Swarnakar, has succumbed to gunshot injuries in his chest and neck. Swarnakar was shot by an unknown group. 4 unidentified individuals had approached Swarnakar on motorcycles this afternoon at 1 p.m. as he was leaving a local cafe. The perpetrator had fired 4 rounds of shots at him. Swarnakar was rushed to the Kalaya Provincial Hospital, which referred to take him to Boyoda Hospital in Birganj. However, he succumbed to the injuries while receiving treatment. The police have said investigation is currently underway. The husband of Sridevi Bohra from Mugu, who was murdered in a gruesome manner along with her 3 children, has said he will not receive the bodies of his family until the police administration finds out the perpetrator. The bodies of the 4 were taken to District Hospital Mugu for postmortem. Deepak Bohra has said it was tragic that the police had been unable to find the perpetrator despite deploying investigating teams. 28-year-old Sridevi Bohra from Mandu village of Mugu's Chayanath Rara municipality was found dead on Friday last week, along with her children, 11-year-old son Manoj, 8-year-old daughter Apsara, and 8-month-old infant Rahar. The police say their throats were slit with a sharp weapon. Sridevi's maternal family and her husband have demanded for immediate identification of the culprit. The District Police Office Mugu has said postmortem works were currently underway. Another investigating team from Karnali Province Police Office has said the investigations were undergoing at a rapid speed. The hearing on the writ filed by Bharati Sherpa against the pardon granted to Yogaraj Dhakal, Aka Regal, who had been convicted for murder, is to continue tomorrow. On 12th of October, a full bench of Chief Justice Bishambar Prasad Shrestha had scheduled the hearing for 31st of October, saying that the hearing could not be left in between. The preliminary hearing by the Apex Court Justice Manoj Sharma on 6th of October had ordered for a full bench hearing to conclude the case. However, the bench led by Chief Justice Shrestha on 12th had rescheduled the hearing. The National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, and the civil society have been raising serious concerns against the granting of pardon to murder convicts based on their political affiliations. Meanwhile, the writ applicant Bharati Sherpa has begun fast unto death from yesterday, demanding for the scrapping of the pardon granted to Regal. However, she fainted and had to be rushed to Bir Hospital. She had been staging a hunger strike in the capital's Maitikar Mandala against the government pardon to the murder of her former husband Chetan Manandar. In July 2015, Dhakal, a local Congress worker, had killed Manandar in broad daylight with local weapon. He was convicted of the murder and given 20 years jail by the Banki District Court in 2018. Dhakal had served 8 years of jail term when his remaining 12 years were pardoned. Imports have increased in the Nepali month of Asoj in relative comparison to the previous year. With the rise in import for festivities including Dasai and Tihar, revenue collected from customs have also increased. According to the Customs Department, imports reached 407 billion rupees by the month of Asoj, which is 1% more than the previous year. Import had improved in the month of Bhadra in comparison to Shravan. While import had figured 131 billion rupees in Bhadra, it had increased to 147 billion rupees in Asoj. Despite improvement in import, export did not witness a similar growth. Instead, export reduced in Asoj in comparison to last year. However, the gradual increase in import has also improved customs revenue. While 97.95 billion rupees was collected in customs revenue by Asoj last year, it has reached 108 billion rupees during the same period this year. The Department of Customs has said the import of petroleum products has decreased in recent time, but the import of electric vehicles has witnessed a growth. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. Why are majority of the government cases rendered weak? Your options are A, pressure of power centers, B, commission games, and C, feeble evidences. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And it's time now for the international updates. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees has said hundreds and hundreds of patients are stuck in hospitals in the north of Gaza. Israel says Hamas is making Al-Quds Hospital in Gaza City a place for asylum. Doctors say Israel told staff to evacuate the hospital yesterday, but that moving patients, many of whom are in intensive care, is impossible. The Palestinian Red Crescent says Israeli airstrikes are continuing in the area. About 14,000 civilians are also understood to be sheltering in the hospital and its grounds. It comes as Israel's military says it is expanding its ground offensive in Gaza, saying troops killed dozens of terrorists during clashes overnight. Israel has been bombing Gaza since the 7th of October Hamas attacks that killed 1,400 people and saw 230 people kidnapped as hostages. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 8,000 people have been killed since Israel's retaliatory bombing began. Meanwhile, 40 trucks carrying humanitarian relief crossed into the Gaza Strip yesterday amid escalating tensions in the region. CNN reported that 10 trucks carrying humanitarian aid entered Gaza from Egypt by way of the Rafah border crossing, and that the Palestinian Red Crescent Society received the supplies, including food and medical necessities. As of yesterday, the Gaza Strip had received a total of 118 trucks of humanitarian aid since the outbreak of the current conflict, according to the PRCS. However, the Israeli side still prohibits the supply of fuel to the coastal enclave, leaving its generator-powered hospitals on the brink of interoperability. In addition, a plane carrying 26 tons of aid landed at El Arish International Airport in Egypt yesterday, the World Health Organization Regional Office for the Eastern Mediterranean said on social media. The aid, which included medicine, was provided by the WHO and Médecins Sans Frontières and will be distributed to hospitals in the Gaza Strip once the entry permit is obtained. The United Nations said that the El Arish Airport and Rafah crossing in Egypt are lifelines for the people of Gaza Strip, stressing that the supplies received so far are not enough for the needs of more than 2 million Palestinians living in the region, and that humanitarian aid should be immediately allowed to enter the Gaza Strip without restrictions. The Rafah border crossing on the border between the southern Gaza Strip and Egypt's Sinai Peninsula is the only land crossing in the Gaza Strip that is not controlled by Israel. After the flare-up of this round of clashes, Egypt said that the Egyptian side of the Rafah crossing will be always open, but Israel's bombing of the Palestinian side of the crossing has disrupted its normal operation. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim today criticized Israel and urged for peace in the Middle East amid escalating conflict in the region following the October 7 Hamas attack. Anwar's remarks came as he met with Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. The Malaysian leader, who is on a two-day visit to Singapore, also met with the nation's newly elected President Tharman Shanmugaratnam earlier in the day as part of the 10th Singapore-Malaysia Leaders Retreat centered around bilateral cooperation between the neighboring countries. Anwar joined pro-Palestinian supporters on last Tuesday at a demonstration in Malaysia, a Muslim-majority country that has long been a vocal supporter of the Palestinian cause and has called for a two-state solution to the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. A suspect in Jerusalem stabbed an Israeli police officer today near the light rail, the Israeli police said. The suspect was shot at by other Israeli forces who arrived on scene, and the wounded Israeli police officer was taken to the hospital, according to Israeli media. Reuters footage from the area showed Israeli forces on high alert as many residents of the area, both Palestinians and Israelis, started clashing, yelling at each other, while Israeli police at the scene split them up. Violence in the territory has surged since Israel began bombarding the Gaza Strip after the Islamist group Hamas's devastating October 7 attack that killed at least 1,400 Israelis. The death toll from a train crash in southern India's Andhra Pradesh has risen to 13, a railway official said today, as authorities looked through the mangled carriages to determine what caused the collision. The crash occurred when the Visakhapatnam Rayagada passenger train stopped yesterday because of a break in an overhead cable, and the Visakhapatnam Palasa Express service rammed into it from the rear, derailing two carriages of the stationary train. The Railway Ministry said a preliminary investigation found that human error that led to overshooting of signal by the Visakhapatnam Rayagada train. The accident came months after India's state-run railway system suffered its worst crash in 2 decades when 292 people were killed. Indian Railways, the fourth largest train network in the world, is undergoing a $30 billion transformation with new train and modern stations in the pipeline.
Sports news.
Host Nepal have started off the T20 World Cup qualifiers with an 8-wicket thumping win over Singapore. In the Group A match played at the Tribhuvan University Cricket Ground in Kirtipur this morning, Singapore won the toss and elected to bat first and posted 145 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in 20 overs. Rohan Ragarajan top scored for Singapore with 46 runs. Arya Veer Chaudhary chipped in with 37 runs, while Manpreet Singh made 24. Avinash Bohra was the pick of the Nepali bowlers, grabbing wickets, while Sandeep Lamichhane, Gulshan Jha and Karan Keshi claimed 2 wickets each. Chasing a victory target of 146 runs, Nepal romped home, scoring 147 runs, losing only 2 wickets with 21 balls to spare. Opener Kushal Bhurtel top scored for Nepal with a quick-fire 74 off 48 balls, smashing 2 sixes and 8 fours. Skipper Rohit Paudel also contributed an unbeaten 35 off 24 balls in Nepal's win, while opener Asif Sheikh added 27 off 26 balls. Anantha Krishna and Akshay Puri, with 1 wicket each, were the only Singapore bowlers to pick up wickets. In another Group A match played today, Oman defeated Malaysia by 32 runs. Meanwhile, in a Group B match played at the Mulpani Cricket Ground today, UAE defeated Bahrain by 5 wickets. Bahrain batted first after losing the toss and posted 135 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs. Haidar Butt top scored for Bahrain with a quick-fire 59 off 43 balls and remained not out. Junaid Siddiqui and Ayan Afzal Khan claimed 2 wickets each for UAE. In reply, UAE reached the victory target by scoring 137 runs in 18.2 overs, losing 5 wickets. Ali Nasser was the leading run scorer for UAE, who smashed an unbeaten 48 off 26 balls. Rizwan Butt was the pick of the Bahrain bowlers with 2 wickets. In another Group B match played today, Hong Kong defeated Kuwait by 16 runs. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.